Right, today's video is about ways, techniques, tips, strategies, whatever that you can use to get women to be more sexual with you, get them to unlock their slutty sides. Effectively, it's kind of like this. What you need to realize is that the women that you're dealing with, they are actually inherent sluts. They all are. Because really and truly, all the term slut means is a sexually realized woman. That's all it means. So the women who you're talking to, they're basically pretending to not be what they really are. Imagine, here's a good way to look at it. Think of gay men who are pretending to be straight. Right? You got a gay man, he's inherently gay, he's attracted to men, but he's pretending to be straight. That's effectively what women are with regards to their sexuality, right? So in order to get a woman to let that out, you're not getting her to be something she isn't, you're actually getting her to be something that she really is. And if you really think women aren't naturally sexual, then let's ask yourself how much sense it would make for 50% of the entire human race to not want sex. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Anyway, how do you actually get them to let that out with you? Firstly, you have to be comfortable with your own sexuality, because a woman will, for the most part, reflect back what you give to her. So like the vibe you give to her is the vibe that she will reflect to you. If you are comfortable with your sexuality and you think it's entirely natural, she will find it comfortable as well. So if you're scared to talk about sex, you're not going to engender any kind of situation where women are happily talking to you about sex because you're scared to talk about it. You see what I mean? And let's say, hold on, let me take a seat. But the thing is this, when it comes to sex, one thing women don't really like, and that tends to make them feel uncomfortable, is feeling like, you know, sex just came up out of the blue. But if it feels like sex is a natural bygone extension of the conversation that you're having, that's absolutely totally fun, and they'll go along with it, because women are all about the mood, you see. They're all about the mood. So if the mood of your interaction naturally leads to conversations about sex, that's fantastic. It's when you hit them with it in a way that's jarring that they don't really appreciate. But here's a good way that you can do that. So let's say, for instance, you're having a conversation and a woman says something which you can misinterpret in a sexual way. Like she goes, oh, you know what, when guys approach me on the street, I just beat them off. I beat them away. Oh yeah, she says, I beat away guys who approach me on the street. You can jokingly go, so hold on, you actually beat off guys who approach you in the street? Jesus. They'll usually laugh. They'll laugh at that and they'll be like, no, that's not really what I meant. It's not what I meant. It's not what I meant. But doing little things like that, number one, like you're introducing sexuality into the conversation. And then also number two, like she takes the blame for it because you've misinterpreted something she said in a sexual way. There's ways you can do that, but ultimately, like when you're having a conversation, wait for an opportunity to take things in a romantic way. Like one way might be, let's say you're having a chat with a woman over the phone, let's say, and you're talking, she's like, okay, I'm in my room, she's in her room, you're in your room, whatever, and you can say, all right, so if I was with you in your room right now, would it be a clean room? Is your room in order? You know, is everything laid out in a neat and tidy way, or is it just strewn about like absolute madness? You know, and she'd be like, no, it's a very clean and tidy room. Okay, so if I were with you and we were in your clean and tidy room, what kind of stuff would we be watching on Netflix? We'd be watching this, that and the other. Oh, okay then. And you can slowly like build up more of a picture about sort of what would happen in the room. But you start from nothing. You start from, is your room like clean? Is it tidy? What would we be watching on Netflix? Would you be annoying me? Even, you know, if I tickled you, are you ticklish? Are you ticklish if I tickled you? And you build and build and build. But even that's actually kind of like a high level, high end technique, to be fair. But another thing that you can do in order to get women to express their sexuality is to speak to them in a way that lets them know that you don't judge sexuality at all. For instance, If you were in front of a woman and you ever call another woman a slut or a slag or a whore or anything like that, you're basically shooting yourself in your foot. Because what you're saying to that woman is, I judge women for being sexual, therefore you can't let that side of you out around me because I will judge you. You have to make sure that they realize that you don't judge for that. And if you do judge, you need to stop judging. How can you convey that? Well, one thing that you can do is you can tell these women stories of women who you know who are very sexual, but you admire for their sexuality. That's a very good way of doing it. You know, like, oh, I've got my friend Jessica and she's always having these sexual adventures. Oh, Jessie, she's so awesome, she's so liberated. And the woman who you're speaking to, you say that kind of stuff to, she'll be like, so he doesn't judge his friend Jess. He actually thinks his friend Jess is amazing. That's actually kind of interesting. Or you can say things like, you know, if I have sex with a woman on the first date, that's awesome. Like, I wouldn't do that and then think any less of the woman for doing that with me. I can have sex with a woman on the first date and still respect her as much as ever before, because I don't think that's remotely a bad thing. You can say things like that. You can say things like, you know what? I honestly don't respect people who do things because they're worried about what other people think of them. I respect people who actually live life on their own terms and do what they want to do, irrespective of how people will look at them for it. You can say stuff like that. Let's say you were talking to a woman and she goes, you know what? I'm not going to have sex with you because I don't have sex on the first date. Here's something you can say. You can go, that's interesting. You know what? I actually lose respect for you because of that. And she'd be like, why? She'd be like, if you're not going to have sex with me because you don't want to have sex with me, because you look at me and you think, I don't want to have sex with that guy, fine. But if you're not going to have sex with me because it's like some rule and it's the first day, I can't do it, blah, 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 then that's bullshit. And I actually lose respect for you because of it, which is actually how I feel. These are sorts of things that you can do in order to get women to open up their sexual sides. But yeah, like I say though, you just have to be comfortable with your own sexuality. Very, very, very comfortable with your own sexuality, you know? The more comfortable you are, the more comfortable she will be. And the more accepting of her inherent sexuality you are, the more accepting she will be as well. If you have a conversation with a woman and you say, what's the craziest thing you've done in bed? And she tells you, and you're like, oh shit, that's awesome. And you can actually move on. You don't even have to like keep the conversation on sex in a weird thing, but you can actually say to her, what's the craziest thing you've done in bed? Have that conversation, hear what she had to say, not get weirded out by it, not get insecure by it, and then still continue to be cool and have a great time. There you go. So I hope this has been helpful to you, and I hope you have yourself a fantastic day. Goodbye, au revoir, toodaloo, and see ya.